I mean, but the thing was that I kept, I kept moving, right, while I was discovering, right. So I did not stop, right. Whatever I was doing, I kept doing it, right, and I just kept moving. So it was more of me finding my path while in motion. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to remember. So I found my path while in motion. So whatever I was doing it well, I was learning well, right? And I was seeing opportunities, I was latching onto those opportunities. I always wanted to know I always wanted to learn, I always wanted to improve myself, right? And I mean, it has led me here today. And even right now, I'm still discovering what's next, right? What's the next level? What's the next thing for me to do? You understand? I mean, right now, yeah, my core experience is in product, but in the next 3, 4 years, I doubt I'll be doing anything product, right? Yeah, I did not figure it out at the very beginning. And I mean, nobody should, I mean, don't put so much pressure on yourself to figure it out from the start, right? It takes a while, honestly, to figure out, right? People who figure it out from the start are very, very few. It's very rare, right? Most people figure it while in motion. And that's just my advice for everybody here. Don't put so much pressure on yourself. Just make sure that whatever you do, do it well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like awesome. Um, Another thing now is like I just want to go straight to asking this. Like starting out in tech, like for many of us who are here, like starting out in tech, what are your advices? What do you advise that any individual should do first?
Okay. Um, I mean, the first thing you would have to do is to figure out what part of tech, right, you'd love to play in. Because tech is usually thrown around as a buzzword, but there's a lot that goes into technology, right? So you need to figure out if you want to be a hardware engineer like I was before, right? Or you want to go into tech support, right? All those IT departments in big organizations that supports the infrastructure. I mean, support your IT tools, your subscriptions to softwares and all those types of things, right? That's another part of IT. There's also the developers, right? People who write programs, front end developers, back end developers, right? Full stack developers, mobile app developers, right? There's also that part, but there is a part of IT which I kind of think most people don't take advantage of, right? And I'd like to mention, and it is the non-tech part of IT. That's what I'll call it, right? And there are a couple of roles in that area, right? UX design is one of them. Is one of those roles in that area. Quality assurance testers is one of those roles in that area. Project management is one of those roles in that area. Product management, what I do is one of those roles in that area. Even products. Marketing management, right? So you have products marketing managers. It's another role in that area. And these roles are in high demand because tech cannot exist without these roles, right? So I know a lot of people who want to go into tech are kind of discouraged because they're like, oh, let's start to write programs, or let's start to, like, must I be an engineer? No, you don't necessarily have to go into the engineering or the coding parts of tech, right? There are these non-coding parts of tech and they are very, very lucrative, right? Because every tech entity needs a product manager, right? Sometimes a project manager. Every tech project needs a UX designer, the person who's going to bring the idea to life visually before the developer even starts to write the code. You understand? So explore those non coding parts of tech, right? And I mean, I'm on the board of Treford, and that's what they focus on. Focus on upskilling people in that area, non-coding part of tech, right? So I mean, this morning I took a bootcamp session on projects on product management teaching, right? I mean, so those are for entry-level product managers who are just trying to find their path. So that's my advice for the ladies in here today.
Oh, awesome. That's okay. Let's switch a bit into something probably more related to you. Uh, okay, like one of the things that what we do, which also we train people, like the girls that are here, we train them in different tech skills, such as UI UX, web development front end, data science, artificial intelligence. Now, so more specifically, how do they get into the product management, UI UX job space?
Okay, so I get asked this question a lot, right? And I mean, what you're doing is fantastic, upskilling them and training them. I think it's fantastic, right? And it's kind of an area which I've kind of focused on because I know that is the area I was able to grow myself in. So I'm always looking forward to support as much as possible. So I'm glad to be here again. Product management. How to get into the job space. I think it has to be a case of opportunity meeting preparation. Is that what they call it? Preparation meets opportunity. I think so,
Yeah.
right? So the opportunity would always come, first of all. You need to know, right? But two things. One, you need to be able to identify the opportunity when it comes, and you need to be prepared for it, right? And how do you prepare for the opportunity that we know will come, right? A couple of ways, right? First of all, upskill yourself, right? Academically, right? You're with African Agility right now, fantastic, right? If African Agility has a course, get involved in the course, learn about the academic product management, right? And on the other hand, right, also upskill yourself by getting involved in actual projects, actual products development gigs, right? I mean, it might not be formal, it might not give you any revenue at the beginning, but it's always good to actually workshop what you've learned in the classes in an actual product development process, right? Because what that helps you to do is that it gives you experience, it gives you traction, you're able to learn real life. Because I mean, learning academically it's fantastic, right? But you know that once you start to practice it, there's a lot of dynamism that comes into play, right? So upskill yourself academically, take a course or two, right, to gain that knowledge, and then workshop that knowledge on actual projects. If you're able to, now this project might be for free, right? For free, right? But it helps. It helps because it gives your resume some sort of traction. Because as difficult as it is, right? Sadly, most employers in Nigeria, right, are not willing to give people that first chance. They always want to see that, oh, you've done something before, right? It's sad, and that is just the truth, right? So if you're able to get someone who gives you that first chance, fantastic. But to be prepared, just ensure you take one or two gigs on the side, because I've had a lot of upcoming product managers who I've met and they're like, oh, do you have a project you're working on? Can I work with you? I mean, I don't mind. I don't want to get paid. I just want the experience. It helps. It helps. So just be prepared, because the opportunity will always come. Thank you.
Okay. So you're open to some of them reaching out to you to work on something, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't mind. I would definitely try to help as much as I can.
Yeah. So also, I must say it's very awesome what you guys are doing at Treford. I know I connected Ari,
Yeah,
Ari on
fantastic.
LinkedIn too. That yeah. So it's very awesome what you guys are doing. And so one of the things that we do is because we're Africa Agility, we also have this spice of the agile principle that
Oh,
girls, and then every one of them has to be a certified Scrum Master. That is, like, give them the certificate. Yeah,
interesting.
certified Scrum Master certification and all that. So yeah. So another question now is I many times you get after the whole training thing, one of the things that you realize is the fact that you get asked, oh, where can I work as the product manager? Where can I work as a UI UX designer and all that? Like, people want to hear industries, not just industries, like particular startups or places or companies that they can work? I'd like you to shed more light on that, like where, if someone is I'm asking now for them.
Okay, fantastic. I think the simple answer to that is wherever or whatever industry or whatever organization that is using digital transformation to drive growth, solve real life problems for users, and meet organizational goals. Now, let me break it down. You want to work in a digital company, right? Because a digital company is building a product, right? They're building it digitally, right? And they are employing digital distribution channels to engage their customers. So the product is either on a mobile app or on a web platform, or it's on USSD, right? Or one of those other mediums, right? That's how you know that is where you can work as a product manager. Now, let me give you the flip side. As a product manager, it will be difficult for you to work in a construction company or an FMCG company, right? Now, well, some FMCGs have started to infuse a bit of digital into them. So you have some FMCGs looking to recruit product managers now because they're trying to do what they're doing so they're trying to use technology to scale and improve what they're doing, right? So yeah, but construction companies are still a bit behind. You really find a construction company recruiting a product manager because what they do are projects, right? And there is so they use digital tools in-house, right? So maybe manage the project, right? But their product or their offering, right, is an actual physical building, right? It's not a service or a product that they are cascading to users via digital means, you understand? So a construction company, you see a quantity surveyor, you would see a project manager, you would see a project supervisor, right?
Architect.
But architects, exactly, right? But that's what you see, but you don't see a product manager. So it has to be a company, right, or an organization or an industry that is driving growth, solving problems, meeting organizational needs via digital means. Examples: fintech, right? Every fintech, right, falls into that area, right? E-commerce, right? E-commerce, right? I was once an e-commerce product manager with More for Africa. You understand? There's also transport, right? See what the likes of Plenty Waka, Gokada, Bolt, Uber, right? Transport. So it's still transport, but they are offering their service using digital means, mobile apps. You understand? So they need product managers. You understand? So that's how you know, right? There has to be a bit of digital in their process. Their product or offering has to be cascaded via digital means, web, mobile, USSD, or something. So that's how you know. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Awesome. This other question. All right. So guys, if you have more questions, like if you have questions, let me know. I think after this question, we'll take one or two questions from the girls. Okay. From what you've seen from experience, how long does it take for an individual to get from beginners to expert, or from beginners to intermediate and to expert? Like how long, give or take? What are your recommendations like?
There is no timeline, honestly, because I mean, I would right now I'm speaking and I'm feeling like an expert of it. There are some people that I will talk to, right? That when I talk to them, I'll feel like a beginner. I have a mentor. I have a mentor. One of my former bosses at IntoSwitch. He was once the chief product officer for IntoSwitch. That guy is the most brilliant product mind that I know, right? Whenever I speak to that guy, it feels like it feels like I don't know anything, you understand? But I always appreciate it because I learned from him. So whatever 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 level you are, right, in life, there's always someone who's ahead of you. That's the first thing. So there's no real timeline, right? That I would say, oh, okay, beginner 2 years, intermediate, no. But there are a couple of factors that comes into play, right? Number one, how much of a fast learner are you, right? I mean, someone who wants to understand everything about product management, to be honest, can do it within 3 months, right? The learning is continuous, but at least the fundamentals, right? And all. Do you get? I mean, read the books, get on a projects or product development process, and just learn. Do you understand? Meanwhile, someone else, it might take that person a year. So it depends on how fast you are as a learner. It depends on how passionate you are, right? It depends on how driven you are. And there are a couple of external factors that comes into play, right? Have you been able to take up a couple of courses, right? Do you take time out on your own to actually read, research? I'll tell you that despite all the courses that I've done, right? I've spent about 2 million naira on product course, right? On like paying for an actual product course. I've spent that much on course just to improve myself. But I'll tell you that most of what I know, about 70% of what I know in products, right, is part of me just researching, speaking to people, finding out, learning on my own, right? So you can't just come to the class and depend on that, right? You have to get on an actual product, you have to do your research, you have to read, you have to try things out and try things out rather than test things out. So it really depends on the individual and how much you want it, right? But of course, I mean, there's a part that experience comes to play. It takes a while for you to gather that experience, right? I've been in product management for 11 years now, thereabouts, 10, 11 years, thereabouts. And I mean, I'm still going strong. I'm still looking for money to pay for a course, one very expensive course. I don't even call the price because if I call the price, it will just you get. But I mean, it's because I want to continuously improve
Yeah.
myself, remain relevant, because the market is fast changing, it's very dynamic, and also product management is still in its, to an extent, infant stage in Nigeria. I mean, thanks to the emergence of fintechs, right, and the startup mentality in Nigeria in the last 3 to 5 years, right. So you see the need for a lot of product managers. But 5 years ago, nobody, I used to tell people I'm a product manager, they did not understand, right, what product management was. When I started product management, even my organization where I was working, they did not know what to do with me because they didn't even know what it meant to be. Yeah, you understand. But I mean, I've had to kind of learn on the go, metamorphose, look at what other industries are doing, what their best practices and standards are, and then suggest that, oh no, this is how it should be done, that kind of thing. So it's a bit clearer now. It's a bit clearer. So it really depends on you and how much you want it. There is no particular timeline.
Okay. We'll take questions now. So if you have questions, let me know. If you have questions, let me know. Okay, while we wait for them, you can just use the wave button there just to notify us that you have a question. So while we wait for them, there's this question I always love to ask, which is comparing working for free and then, especially starting out in a career, working for free or getting paid, knowing fully well that one has bills to pay and all that. Like, which do you like? What would you advise?
I see. I totally understand the concept of yes, we know where we are going to, but for us to get there, we need to survive today. I totally understand. As much as possible, right? So to make money, you have to spend money. That's just the truth, right? So yes, the ideal thing is if you can get on some free gigs, do it to the best of your ability, right? But if you need to earn to be able to sustain yourself, please, I beg, nobody, you can't be going to beg under the bridge of the road, right? You need to make that money. So by all means do that, right? But what I would say is that I mean, and it's something I've done before, right? I'm doing for the most part while I was a content manager, right? I was already doing product management gigs on the side. You understand? And I was doing them for free, and I could do them for free because I was collecting salary as a content manager. So sometimes the job you're doing right now is not the end. It's just the means to the end. And that's fine, as long as you have a plan and as long as you don't get too comfortable in that job, right? And then you don't pursue your dreams anymore. So by all means, if you have to get another job just to sustain yourself, fantastic. But make sure that you stick to your plan, you stay true to your plan, right? And you continue to pursue it, right? While that job gives you the security that you need to survive today, right? While you work towards getting to your desired goal. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, awesome. So another question now is,
should I start calling
you said?
people? I said, should I start calling people? This
Yeah,
class
please
is
call.
the class
Yeah, yeah.
it's too serious for me. Why is everybody just quiet? Please ask me any question. It doesn't even have to be related to what we're talking about. Anything. You can ask me any question at all. Any question at all. You can ask me what I ate this morning. It's fine. I would answer you. Yeah.
So let me call people for you so that ABC. Okay, yeah. Do you have a question? UK. I don't know why they're shy.
Hi, Michael. I just got here, so I'm surprised that you're calling me. And first of all, I apologize for being late. I mean, I thought we just started and then we're talking about questions. I don't know what to ask. I'm so sorry.
All right.
I'm so sorry.
I think someone just asked a question, sent a private message to me.
Okay.
A question is, what is the salary range for anyone starting out in tech?
So that is a very broad question. I know the very in Nigeria, our problems are plenty because first of all, Nigeria does not even have that structured database to measure against, right? I mean, for instance, if you check out public companies, you go to maybe like a Glassdoor, you'll be able to see what their salary range is, that kind of thing. So Nigeria is not like that. There is no structure. There is no. It depends on the organization. It depends on your skill level, and it also depends on what you're earning before, right? You see employers, they will ask you, oh, please, can you send us your former pay slip? So that you can see what you're earning before and then use it to measure you. Very, very annoying. Sorry if there's any HR person here, but very, very annoying. I will tell them, tell me your budget first. Let me even know if we should be talking. But I mean, there is no structure, especially in Nigeria. I mean, you have entry-level people earning 100K, 200K, 300, right? I had one offer of one entry-level role. Okay, that is not in Nigeria, Sha. I think it was 120K, $120,000. I was wondering, I should not go back and go and do entry level with that organization because $120,000, that's a lot of money. But honestly, there is no particular amount. But what I would say is you need to use your negotiation power, right? Don't be too scared to ask for what you feel you deserve, right? And ensure that what you're asking for, right, you deserve it, you can command it, right? What that means is that you've done your own work in the past. You've shown experience, you've shown academic knowledge, you've shown experience, you've shown traction. Do you understand? Like you're basically who they want, right? If you're the one they really want, right? And they don't want anybody else. Most organizations would go out of their way to pay for you. You understand? I've actually held an organization back for 3 months before because I mean they wanted to recruit me. They wanted me to come in 1 month, right? But I felt I needed more time at my former organization. I told them, "Well, I'm sorry, it has to be 3 months," and they waited. Right. So they went from, oh, we need you to come in this month. If you don't come in this month, this, that story. They waited for 3 months. So at the end of the day, if you're sure of what you have, you can negotiate better salaries. And don't be scared to ask, right? At the end of the day, it's a negotiation. You call your price, they'll call their price, right? And you guys meet somewhere in the middle. Okay, I think the questions are beginning to come in lines.
Yeah.
Ron is asking me for the name of the organization. What's the name? It's one of these investment banks in the US. Those guys, they pay blood money, right? So imagine them paying. Please, someone should convert 120K to Naira for us first. Let us, I'm putting in the chat. Let us be thinking of our lives this morning. It's is it BC or JP Morgan, one of those investment banks in the US, right? But that's their starting salary for like entry level. Like you just finished your, they always hire people who have done MBAs in all these Ivy League schools now. I know. So you just finished your
Yeah,
MBA, right? That's your starting salary. Exactly. 60 million naira. Ranti said away. Exactly. My thoughts too. It's a lot of money, right? I don't mind going to do entry level. I'm not proud. I'm not old. I still look young too. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we have more questions coming in. Someone asked, first of all, what are the qualifications for a product manager? What are the qualifications for a product manager? Yeah, exactly. Product manager.
Okay. Pedro has done the exact figure for 62,640 million. God help us. So let us go back to our class. Qualifications for a product manager. It depends on the type of product manager you want to be. So let me start by explaining the types of product managers we typically have. So there are product managers who are like business product managers or generalists, right? Me, I was kind of one, right? So I kind of had an idea of everything that was going on, right? Development, I understood it. UX design, I understood it. I mean, I used to correct designers, right? I was that detailed. Documentation, I could do that. Stakeholder management, influencing. I was kind of a generalist, right? That's one. You have product managers who are design-focused product managers. Often they are designers. They used to be former designers, UX designers, right? Who then become product managers. So those product managers are typically a lot more focused on the user experience, right? How the users interact with the products, right? They always look out for the users, and they always make a case for the users. You have engineering product managers, right? These are product managers, technical product managers. These are product managers who were maybe either engineers or QAs before, quality assurance analysts before, right? And they become product managers. So these guys are product managers, but they're very technical, right? They can go into the APIs, test the APIs for you. They can even draw an architecture for a solution for you, right? They can be very technical, right? You have marketing product managers, right? Most times they're called product marketing managers. What they do basically is interact with the markets, get feedback from the markets, and use those feedbacks to improve the product so that the product can in turn solve the actual problems that the customers are facing, right? These guys have marketing background, they are sound marketing guys, right? So they are product marketing managers. So for the different types, you kind of have different types of qualification, right? But however, in an attempt to answer the question in a general way, what are the key skills you need to have as a product manager? I would say number one, right, is stakeholder management. And surprisingly, it's not a hard skill, it's a soft skill, right? The reason is because as a product manager, you're the CEO of the product, right? So you're interacting with everybody. Everybody's calling you for one thing or the other about the products because you're the husband of the product. The product is like a baby, right? So you need to be able to engage stakeholders, manage their expectations, under promise to them so that you can over deliver, right? And just ensure that everybody's agenda to an extent is met as much as possible, right? Another skill you need to have, right, is documentation, right? Because as a product manager, you need to write your thoughts down. and there are various types of documentations, right? But the most used one for product managers is the product requirements documents. So you need to be able to document your thoughts properly, and there are standard templates for that, right? You need to be able to document your thoughts properly, right? So that you can use it to gain stakeholder alignment, so that the stakeholders can read it and say, okay, we're aligned, this is what we'll follow. Do you understand? That kind of thing. Another skill that you need to have as a product manager is being able to engage the users, right? And ensure that the feedback from your engagement with users is used to improve the products, right? User engagement, very, very important. Because at the end of the day, you're not building a product for yourself. You're building it for users so that the product can solve a problem for those users and so that they can pay money, right? They can pay for it. So it's always very, very important that whenever you're building a product, right? Or whenever you're acting as a product manager in whatever capacity, you're always looking out for the users. And sometimes it can be difficult because your boss or your guy has an idea of how the product should be, right? But often that fails because you build the product for yourself, not for the users, right? So, I mean, these are some skills that you need to have as a product manager. And I mean, as much as you can, right? You would also, it pays for you to be well-rounded in a lot of areas, right? Because you're doing a lot of things as a product manager. It's a very, very dynamic role, which is why I like it. It's not monotonous. You're not doing the same thing every day, right? For me, even at my level, right, where I lead like a whole large team of product managers, I still go as high level as discussing product strategy. How do we price the product? What business models do we use? How do we launch the product into the market? And I still go as low level as sometimes even testing APIs using Postman, right? The APIs that developers are developing, maybe for some reason QA missed something, right? And I have to test.
Yeah.
And that's what makes me very, very relevant and dynamic. So yeah, I hope that answers the person's question.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that answered the question. I'm looking at I'm thinking of how quantifiable. How can we, like, especially starting out, what other hard skills do you think they would need? Like, I'm just thinking of it from perspective of building a CV, and I want to make it quite quantifiable. Okay, this, and this, so that, because anybody can. It's possible I say stakeholder management, and everybody's like, you read it online somewhere.
Okay.
How can we do that?
Okay, a couple of things, right? You need to have skills in documentation, right? That actually goes a long way, right? You being able to document, you having skills in documentation means you're very proficient with the use of Microsoft's Office tools or Google Sheets, Google Doc, all those Google tools, right? You have to be very, very, like, that has to be a no-brainer. That's number one. Number two is Excel, right? So even from that one, I've removed Excel and put it as standalone, right? Why is Excel important? Because you need to be able to analyze data to make informed decisions about your product, right? So having that skill, trust me, is a very, very big advantage. There are other tools that we use to do that, right? There is Power BI, right? There is Tableau, right? I use Power BI to an extent, but all of them started up from Excel. Excel is the
Yeah.
first one, right?
Bedrock.
If you're good, if you have a great proficiency in Excel, that's a very, very great advantage. Another one is there was one that was skipping from number 3 that I just forgot. I must remember. Tools, right? Yes, tools, exactly. And this is a very big part because as a product manager, there are certain tools that you use. For instance, in documenting, right, you should be able to use Google Docs, Google Sheets, Microsoft Word, whatever, right? In analyzing data, Excel, right? In managing roadmaps and managing sprints, right? Asana, right? Maybe as I'm saying it, you can just be writing it down. Asana, ASANA, is a very, very great tool. Trello, Trello, is a very fantastic tool. Infinity, right? Infinity, normal infinity spelling is a very fantastic tool, right? If you're able to write all these things down on your CV that uses, in fact, like that's giving you an edge already. In terms of drawing wireframes or mockups, right? Balsamiq is very good. Balsamiq, Balsamiq. Pencil is a very, very good tool. All right. And Microsoft Visio, which is my favorite, VISIO is a very, very cool tool. Collaboration, right? Because I mean, as a product manager, you're managing the UX designers, you're managing the engineers, right? And sometimes you're managing the QA. And as a product person, they don't report to you because you guys are probably roommates, but they look up to you. And that's very, very decisive. So you need to be able to influence them and not control them. Because if you control them, you guys will clash, right? But you should be able to influence them, right? And in collaboration with them, right, the tool you use is also very important. Slack is the best, right? Slack is very, very effective, right? I use Slack. I use Slack, but I also use WhatsApp. And the reason why I use WhatsApp is sometimes I just want to just pass a quick message across. I know everybody's always on their WhatsApp, right? Even if you're not on your WhatsApp, when you pick up your phone, chances are WhatsApp is the first place you go to. So I know the message gets to you fast. So for my teams, we always have Slack and we always have WhatsApp. Slack is the workspace. That's where we share documents and all those things. WhatsApp is just chat. Oh, guys, please can we move our meeting to 3 p.m.? I'm not available for 2 instead of sending an email, that kind of thing. And then for design, right? Now, you don't have to be a designer, but you need to be able to use the tools, right? So Figma and Adobe XD are the top two, right? Once you know how to use Figma, once you know how to use Adobe XD, you're pretty much good, right? So having knowledge of these tools, right, it goes a long way. In fact, that might be just what you need to just showcase to show that you're qualified for it, you understand? Okay, I hope I was able to help.
Yeah. So we're having questions coming in. Okay, first of all, the first question I'll probably ask is someone asked, you have very very interesting profiles. Like the person wants to hear some of the challenges that you faced all through, like coming all along and all that. So like what challenges did you face? That's if worth sharing, that you want to share.
A lot of challenges. I mean, let me share two. First one was, I mean, when I was VP of product at Intelligence Innovations, so that company was a SME. We're like 30, right? And I was reporting directly to the MD because I was one of the senior guys in the organization, right? But then the problem was that my MD was a very was a very, very creative person. So every Monday morning when we come into the office for Monday meeting, right, we always have a new idea. So maybe he went for drinks with his friends over the weekend and he had this eureka moment. Oh, wow, this is a problem. People need this thing. Monday morning, DG, rally the guys around, right? We are building this product. Do this, that, right? And that same day, as per sharp guy, I've written the requirements. I've given it to the UX designer to start working on it. UX designer will work on it. Developers will start to build, right? But what started to happen was that it was becoming every week, right? So we're starting a lot of product developments, but we're not completing it. And the team was burning out because they were putting a lot of effort into the work. They were not seeing the results, right? And I had to just step in because these guys looked up to me. I was like the bridge between the MD and them. And I told the MD, I went to his office, we had a meeting, I explained, I spoke and everything. He would say, okay, I've heard, right? He would not do it for 1 week. 2 weeks after, I would come back again, the same thing, right? And it even got to a point where myself and him, like, we had an open argument in front of everybody in one of those Monday meetings, right? Where I was like, no, that this thing has to stop, right? That we're not making the best use of our resources. And our resources are our greatest assets, right? And of course, at the end of the day, when you argue with your guy, it's you that will still go and apologize. I went to apologize to him at the end of the day. So what I did was I had to use scientific means to prove to him that, see, Yoga, we are wasting our resources, right? And there's something in product management called product prioritization techniques, right? And what I did was I was able to show him the value in what I wanted us to do. I used a value and efforts model, right? So what I did was so there were a couple of things we were doing. I put them all in the table, analyzed the expected value from them, but puts the effort that it takes to do them, right? And it could then see that, for some of these things, the effort is a lot, but the value is not so much, right? Because I knew the ones that the effort were not so much, but the value was a lot. And that was what I wanted us to focus on. So when I was able to show him that kind of scientific analysis, at least he started to listen to me a bit, even though there are still times when he would come with his usual movie again. But I mean, at least he started to listen, because now I was showing him the money that, okay, if we don't do this thing like this, we're losing money, right? And nobody wants to intentionally do stuff that will make you lose money, especially when you knew before. So that was the first one. Second one is my current organization. And so in the organization, I report to the CEO, right? But there's also a COO. So the CEO and the COO, right, are the two officers who are higher than me in the organization, right? So the CEO has a lot of power. She has been there for like 30 years. And so we've always had like a clash where she's of the opinion that, I don't feel Ayodeji, I don't see, right? He's not supporting my business, because my role is the chief product officer, and so I lead the product team that supports 4 businesses, right? And so the company was always coming from her, right? And I mean, I kind of felt that wasn't the case, because my job is to ensure that my resources are doing the job. So whatever stands as a blocker, right, stopping them from doing the job, it's my job to remove that blocker, right? So I had my product manager doing great stuff for them, supporting 3 of their products. I had UX designers, I had business analysts working with them, but she wanted to see me. So she wanted to be seeing me every day, it's me to be coming to our office and all those types of things. Now, what kind of voila is this one? So at the end of the day, one of our business review meetings, like we had an open argument in front of the MD and everybody, right? And I mean, I went back, spoke to my mentor, and he told me that, you know what, Deji, first of all, when you accepted the offer, that was the life you chose. Secondly, at the level you're playing, right, you cannot hide from a bit of politics. And he asked me a question: is this woman very influential? I said yes. He was like, then you have to do what she wants, because she's very influential, right? So this is just to show how important stakeholder management is, because I now called her, right, after my mentor advised me, and just whined that, hey, my CEO, my one and only CEO, she was laughing at everything. And on the call, she was like, that she was even going to call me, because with the way I reacted, that she felt maybe she had gone too far. You understand? So even she was already beginning to think that, okay, let me call Deji so that I can settle it. So we're able to share, settle it, and move on. So the higher you go, the more important stakeholder management is as a skill, because you will need to get buy-in from people to push your agenda in your corporate organizations. All right, thanks.
Yeah, there's also one question in the chat. What's the distinction between a product manager, a scrum master, and project manager?
So Petra asked, is there any similarity between products? Okay, I think I'll answer both questions at once.
Yeah.
Okay. There are similarities, there are differences. Now, let me explain the concept of a product and a project. A project, right, is specific. It has a start date, it has an end date, right? So a project is, we want to build a road, want to construct a road. We are starting on the 1st of September and we're ending on the 30th of September. That's a project. So a project has clear start and end dates, right? A project has a project manager who manages the project, right? And a project is built in a linear approach. So you move from level 1 to level 2 to level 3 to level 4 until you finish. A product development it's different, right? Because you have a start date, but there is no end date. And the reason why there's no end date is because you're building a product for people to use. People will continue to use the product. So even when it goes through development, there are three parts of product that I usually refer to. There is the product development, there is product management, and then there's product strategy. Right. So even when you develop the product, you launch it into the market, right? So once you launch it, we now go back and say, oh, we've launched the product, everybody go and sleep. No, because you need to continuously manage the product. See PiggyVest, for instance, right? I also use PiggyVest every day. The product team, product managers, UX designers of PiggyVest, they are not sleeping. It's continuous, right? Because they've launched the product into the market and they are now managing the product. And what they are doing is very simple: improving the product, getting feedback from users, right? Implementing those feedbacks into the product, right? And just ensuring that the product continuously remains relevant, right? So a project manager manages the project, start date, end date, we finish, move to another project. But a product manager manages the end-to-end life cycle of the product, right? So you build the product, introduce it to the market, the product grows. After a while, the product becomes very mature, everybody knows it, right? And if you're not careful, right, if you just go back to sleep, right, the product would eventually go out of the market. See Yahoo now, for instance, right? See Yahoo, see i5. I don't know if you guys can remember i5 back then.
Yeah.
So product management is continuous. Now, speaking to so I was spoken about product manager, I've spoken about project manager, Scrum Master. A Scrum Master, in some cases, the project manager also doubles up as Scrum Master, even sometimes product manager. But a Scrum Master operates in an agile setting, right? Agile is the methodology, it's the lifestyle, right? But Agile is run using sprints, right? Using sprints. And how does it work? You have 2-week sprints. The Scrum Master is the guy who manages the sprints, right? So at the start of the sprint, you have your sprint planning session. During the sprint, you're having daily stand-ups and reviews. At the end of the sprint, you have your sprint retrospective. The Scrum Master is the one that manages the sprint, 2-week sprint most times. It could be a 2-week sprint, a 3-week sprint, right? But what's a sprint? A sprint is a dedicated period where, and it's used in product management, a dedicated period where you guys pick a particular set of features and you say, you know what, for this 2-week sprint, we're not focusing on anything else. We're focusing on only these features. And we're going to do all we need to do to take these 2 features from idea stage till implementation, right? To when it goes live. That's the way sprints work. So a Scrum Master is the guy who runs the Scrum stand-ups, manages the sprints, runs the sprint planning session, runs the retrospective, right? That's what a Scrum Master does. So you have certain scenarios where the project manager is also doubling as Scrum Master, right? I mean, that's fine as long as both roles don't clash. But the role of a Scrum Master is different from that of a project manager.
All right, thank you very much. I see that we have, I think, 3 minutes. And I hope there are more questions anyways. Yeah, thank you very much, DG, for making it here. Like I really appreciate your time. Yeah, there's a question I usually ask just for fun. Do you do milk before cereal or cereal before milk?
Nobody has ever asked me that question before. I think I do. Funny enough, I think I do both because I can really sometimes I'll do the milk, I'll put the milk, especially whenever it's cornflakes, and I'll start pouring the cornflakes. But if it's golden morn, I kind of like to mix it together and then put water. So I think it depends on what I'm having. Yeah, it depends on what I'm having.
All right. Anyways, thank you for your time. I'm waiting for the invite anyway, so that I'll come and wear my brother and all that.
Wow.
All right. Thank you very much for the time. It does look like it should end, but I know your time is fast spent yourself.
Yeah.
All right. Take care of yourself.
All right. Bye.
Bye. So for every other person, if you want to watch this, I think it's available. The recording is available